Hi, I'm Bob. We will discuss the change in the market equilibrium today. Let's use the example of ice cream we have used before. The price of ice cream is on the y-axis, and the quantity demanded or the quantity supplied is on the x-axis. The supply and demand diagram represents the ice cream market in the neighborhood. At the market equilibrium E1, the equilibrium price is $2 per ice cream cone. At this price, the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. The equilibrium quantity is 7,000 ice cream cones per week. There is no surplus or shortage of ice cream in the market. Suppose now a hot summer is approaching. The hot weather shifts the demand curve to the right from D1 to D2 at every possible price of ice cream. The weather does not change the supply of ice cream, so the supply curve is unchanged. At the original equilibrium price of ice cream, $2, suppliers still want to supply 7,000 ice cream cones per week. But consumers are now willing to purchase 9,500 ice cream cones at that price. So the market has a shortage of 2,500 ice cream cones. Sellers respond to the shortage by raising the price. The increase in the price causes the quantity demanded to fall and the quantity supplied to rise until the market reaches a new equilibrium, E2. At the new market equilibrium, the equilibrium price is $2.5 per ice cream cone, and the equilibrium quantity is 8,000 ice cream cones per week. Compared to the old equilibrium, the hot weather increases both the price of ice cream and the quantity of ice cream sold. We see that the equilibrium changes if a shock occurs, so that one of the variables we are holding constant changes, causing a shift in either the demand curve or the supply curve. We can summarize the analysis in two steps. In the first step, we decide whether a shock or an event shifts the demand curve or the supply curve, or both, and the direction of the shift. In the second step, we use the supply and demand diagram to compare the new equilibrium with the initial one, which shows how the shift changes the equilibrium price and quantity. Let's consider another scenario. Suppose a very good harvest of sugarcane drove down the price of sugar. What will happen to the market price of ice cream and the quantity sold? We can follow the two-step procedure of analysis. First, the decrease in the input price shifts the supply curve of ice cream to the right from S1 to S2. The demand curve does not change because the lower input cost does not directly affect the amount of ice cream consumers wish to buy. Second, as we can see in the supply and demand diagram, at the original equilibrium price of $2, the consumers still want to buy 7,000 ice cream cones, but the suppliers are now willing to supply 9,000 ice cream cones at that price. There is a surplus of ice cream in the market. The sellers respond to the surplus by lowering the price. The decrease in the price causes the quantity demanded to rise and the quantity supplied to drop along the demand and supply curves. Eventually, the market reaches its new equilibrium, E2. At the new market equilibrium, the equilibrium price is $1.5 per ice cream cone, and the equilibrium quantity is 8,500 ice cream cones per week. Compared to the old equilibrium, the new equilibrium has a higher quantity of ice cream sold at a lower price. Now suppose that the heat wave and the good harvest occur during the same summer. The combination of the shocks shifts both demand and supply curves. The demand curve shifts to the right because of the hot weather. The supply curve also shifts to the right because of the drop in production cost. At the new equilibrium E2, the quantity sold is up, but the price is down, as illustrated in the supply and demand diagram. But another outcome is possible if the demand shifts relatively more than the supply. Both the equilibrium price and quantity rise. Therefore, when both demand and supply curves shift to the right, equilibrium quantity rises. But equilibrium price is uncertain. It could go either way, depending on the relative size of the demand and supply shifts. There were 9 cases where the demand curve or the supply curve shifts separately or jointly. Using the supply and demand diagram, you can check whether this summary is correct. In microeconomics, what we have just done is called the comparative statistics. It is the method economists use to analyze how variables controlled by consumers and firms, here price and quantity, react to a change in exogenous variables that they do not control. Such exogenous variables include all the factors other than the goods price that affect the consumer's purchase decisions or the firm's supply decisions. Please review the past videos for details. Thank you for watching this video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. See you next time.